At first, it was subtle. Faint whispers in the night, glimpses of flickering shadows in the corners of their visions. Inexplicable cold spots in rooms that once felt safe. They dismissed these as residual psychological stress or fatigue, yet each of them knew, deep down, that something beyond their understanding was stirring. One evening, Elias noticed a faint, glowing footprint in the dirt outside his cellar. Impossible to explain by natural means. It radiated an unearthly pallor, shimmering like a faint ripple through water. As he stared, the footprint pulsated, as if alive, then slowly vanished into thin air. This was no coincidence. Mira began to communicate with the remnants of entities she felt lingering, phantoms from the other side who seemed just beyond reach, longing to be heard or perhaps warning them. Their voices grew clearer, more insistent, urging caution. Myra's ability to control her connection waned. She felt her spiritual centers pulsing with volatile energy, threatening to overwhelm her. Jonah's data showed anomalies, strange distortions in space-time, minute fluctuations consistent with tiny tears in the fabric of reality. It was then they realized this was only the beginning. They had opened a portal, and the universe had responded with curiosity and hostility. The pressure mounted. Night after night, they fought to contain or closing the breaches they had unleashed. Each attempt to stabilize the rift seemed to only draw back the curtain further, revealing glimpses of chaos and creation intertwined. It was as if the universe itself was shifting to accommodate or reject their intrusion. Elias, desperate, began to think about sealing the breach altogether, destroying the fragile, shimmering membrane they had torn asunder. But with each effort, the entity from the other side reacted. Its presence felt almost like a living wound, bleeding energy into this world. Still, he believed that if they could find the precise point of rupture, they might coax the universe back into its natural order. Mira, meanwhile, had made contact with one of the ancient spirits, an entity of wisdom and warning. It told her that the membrane was not merely a boundary but a safeguard, a cosmic barrier that kept the primal chaos from spilling into their reality. Breaking it was akin to threading a needle through the fabric of existence itself. Jonah's scientific mind grappled with the realization that their experiment had shattered that fabric, prompting questions about responsibility and destiny. He wondered if perhaps this was humanity's inevitable next step, either to evolve beyond their current understanding or to spiral into oblivion. And Lena, reading her ancient manuscripts once more, felt an overpowering sense of dread. Civilizations of the past had met their doom when they dared to pierce the veil. They had meddled with forces they could not comprehend and paid a heavy price. Her voice trembled with the weight of knowledge, warning them of impending catastrophe if they continued. Then came the darkness. One night, the cosmic whispers crescendoed into a deafening roar, a tumult of voices, energies, and visions that threatened to drown them in chaos. The veil, once fragile and shimmering, dissolved into a maelstrom of cosmic fury. The universe seemed to tear itself apart, fracturing at the edges like glass shattering under immense pressure. Within that chaos, they saw glimpses of the true nature of reality, an endless web of possibilities, layers of existence intertwined in a dance of chaos and order. The boundaries between worlds, once thought to be thin but stable, now trembled with a wild, almost malevolent energy. The entity they had glimpsed earlier, now unleashed, became a swirling vortex of luminous tendrils, not evil in the traditional sense but ancient, vast, and unknowably powerful. The screams of cosmic winds echoed in their minds as they watched the fabric of their reality fray and unravel. The universe, as they knew it, was a delicate tapestry, one they had ripped, willingly or not, and the rip was widening with each passing second. Elias felt it firsthand, his consciousness stretched thin, like a thread caught in a cosmic storm. Visions flooded him. Worlds where life blossomed in impossible forms. Civilizations that had dared to reach beyond their boundaries and vanished in the aftermath. If they didn't act quickly, he realized, their very existence could become nothing more than a fleeting ripple in an ocean of chaos. Mira, overwhelmed, saw the spirits of lost civilizations crying out, pleading for help, warning of destruction. Her spiritual senses flickered in and out, struggling against the onslaught of raw, primal energy. She knew that the spirit's messages were not just cries of despair but warnings against further interference. The breach had awakened something ancient and curious, something that might reshape or consume all of existence. Jonah's mind raced to process the scientific anomaly before him, an unraveling of the multiverse fabric, a tearing at fundamental levels. He understood that their act of crossing the barrier had set into motion an unraveling of dimensions. It was no longer a matter of closing one portal. They might have inadvertently triggered a chain reaction that could destabilize reality altogether. And Lena, clutching her ancient texts, understood from her ancient studies that their ancestors had tried, and failed, to contain the same forces. Legend spoke of a terrible price for daring to pierce the boundary, a price paid in loss, in madness, and in oblivion. Then, a choice was presented. In the chaos, the swirling vortex pulsed with cryptic, radiant energy. The four friends found themselves at the crossroads of existence and extinction. They saw visions of countless worlds, of life and death playing out in endless cycles. The universe seemed to be shifting, responding to their actions, either an act of final destruction or a desperate attempt at rebirth. Elias, driven by a mixture of awe and responsibility, grasped the importance of resealing the breach. "We have to reverse what we did," he proclaimed through the howling void. "If we don't, everything we know, and everything beyond, could dissolve into nothingness." Mira nodded, her voice trembling yet resolute. The spirits warn us, this is not just about crossing a boundary. It's about balancing the chaos we've awakened. We must be the guardians of the threshold from now on. Jonah, eyes burning with newfound understanding, said, "We might not be able to fix it with science alone. Whatever this force is, it defies logic. But perhaps our combined efforts, spiritual, scientific, and ancestral, are the only hope." Lena, voice heavy with grief and resolve, added, "We must respect the ancient warnings. This wasn't meant to be tampered with. We've glimpsed eternity, and in doing so, we've found the dangers that lie just beyond our reach. Now, we have to mend what's broken, before it consumes us all." In that moment, they realized that their journey was far from over. Their only hope was to act together, an alliance of science, spirituality, history, and courage. The vortex responded, a shifting, trembling portal that threatened to collapse entirely. The friends channeled every ounce of their remaining strength, focusing their will into a desperate attempt to close the breach. Mira called upon the spirits for guidance. Elias and Jonah combined their scientific understanding to reinforce the fabric of reality, while Lena recited ancient incantations, cries from the past echoing through the present. As they focused their energy, the swirling chaos began to slow, the tumultuous winds dying down. The portal shuddered, contracting into a shimmering, fragile membrane, once more a thin, delicate boundary. With a final, shattering burst of luminous energy, it sealed. The universe seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The cosmic winds calmed, and the endless chaos receded into silence. Their world, scarred but intact, stood suspended on the precipice of a new understanding. But beneath this calm lay the echoes of what had transpired, a reminder that the cosmos holds secrets far older and more powerful than any human could fully grasp. The boundary was fragile, and the temptation to breach it again would always linger. From that moment forward, the four friends knew one unchangeable truth: the universe was alive, conscious, and forever watching. The lid to the unknown had been lifted, just slightly, and the consequences of their actions rippled across the fabric of existence. Though the immediate threat had been contained, an unease settled deep within their souls, a knowing that the boundary, once torn, could never be entirely mended. The universe's infinite layers of reality had been scarred, leaving behind a faint but persistent tremor that might someday reopen, maybe by their hand, or perhaps by forces beyond their control. In the aftermath, Elias felt a strange relief mixed with a gnawing sense of dread. His memories of the other side haunted him, visions of swirling galaxies, conscious energy, and the mournful voices calling out from the void. He often caught himself staring at the night sky, searching for any sign of the cosmic ripple still echoing just beyond his sight. Myra's connection to the spirit realm had been forever altered. Spirits who once whispered softly now lingered with a more urgent calling, sometimes tangible, other times just echoes in her mind. She became a bridge, not just a medium but a guardian of the delicate threshold, tasked with warning others against reckless curiosity. Jonah's calculations pointed to a fragile stability, yet he knew also how thin that stability truly was. The universe's tapestry was woven with threads of chaos and harmony. Any disturbance, no matter how small, could unravel it all. His work now revolved around understanding that delicate balance, and he dedicated himself to preventing further breaches. Lena's heart was heavy with the ancient warnings she had uncovered, visions of civilizations destroyed, of those who dared reach beyond their limits and paid dearly. Yet, she also harbored hope that understanding, respect, and humility could serve as shields against the chaos. Her role had changed from seeker to guardian, reminding all that some boundaries are meant to remain untouched. But the most astonishing realization was this: they had glimpsed the true scale of reality, a vast, living cosmos that was aware, reactive, and intertwined in ways beyond human comprehension. The universe was not a cold, inert place but a conscious entity with boundaries, thresholds, and secrets that demanded reverence. And the consequence of their daring, touching that other dimension, was that they had forever altered their perception of existence. They had seen what lurked just beyond the thin membrane, a realm of endless possibility and danger. As days turned into weeks, the boundary remained intact, but whispers of the event persisted. Far beyond their small town, in the silent corridors of universe itself, unseen forces seemed to stir. Ripples traveled through unseen dimensions, some gentle, others violent. The universe, it seemed, was adjusting, learning, perhaps, from the intrusion, re-establishing its ancient calibrations. Sometimes, in the deepest hours of the night, Elias would feel a presence lurking at the edge of his consciousness. A faint tingle of awareness that told him the universe was watching, wary yet curious. Mira had begun to sense a lingering consciousness, almost like a silent sentinel standing guard over the cosmic threshold. Jonah, meanwhile, continued his research, delving into the nature of space-time, trying to understand how much of reality was truly fixed and how much was fluid. Lena, ever the historian, sought to record their experiences, documenting what they had seen, what they had learned, and the warnings that echoed from ancient civilizations. Her writings became a testament, an account of humankind's daring attempt to touch the beyond, and the terrifying beauty of that act. And amid all this, a new understanding dawned. The universe was vastly more alive than they had ever imagined. It was a living cosmos, aware of every breath of existence, each ripple of energy, and every inquiry into the unknown. The thin membrane that separated worlds was not just a safety curtain but a vital boundary, alive, conscious, and capable of renewal or rupture. Their experience had shown them what lies just beyond the veil: infinite possibilities, unimaginable knowledge, and unspeakable dangers. Humanity's relationship with the cosmos, they realized, was a fragile dance, one demanding humility, respect, and caution. As the final remnants of the cosmic storm settled, they understood that their daring act had changed not just their lives but the very fabric of reality itself. And somewhere, in the vast silent reaches of the universe, galaxies continued their eternal dance, waiting patiently, perhaps for the day when the thin, shimmering membrane would be tested again, by forces old and new, by those bold enough to peer beyond the horizon. They had touched the infinite, and in doing so, had awakened a memory that would echo through eternity. The universe was not just a place of matter and energy but a conscious, living tapestry, forever watching, forever waiting, forever alive. As the days stretched into months, the ripples of their unprecedented encounter remained etched into their spirits, altering the way they perceived every moment. Elias often found himself staring at the night sky, feeling the faint hum of the universe's consciousness wrapped around him, a silent reminder of what they'd awakened. The stars seemed brighter, more aware, as if each one held the memory of their encounter deep within its luminous core. Mira, forever changed by her contact with the spirits and the cosmic entity, became a guardian of the threshold, an ambassador between worlds. She would sit quietly in her home, meditating and listening for the faint, distant echoes of the other side's whispers. Sometimes she felt the presence of that vast, unknowable consciousness observing her, an indifferent but perceptive force that reminded her of the fragile balance they had disturbed. Jonah's research evolved into a deeper understanding of the multiverse's delicate architecture. His equations hinted at the possibility of intentionally reaching across dimensions, but he knew that such pursuits must be undertaken with reverence, not recklessness. The universe, he feared, might respond with chaos if pushed too far again. Lena's writings expanded into a comprehensive chronicle, a testament to humankind's audacity and folly. Her notes contained warnings rooted in ancient wisdom, combined with pioneering scientific theories. She understood now that knowledge must be accompanied by humility, and that some gates should remain closed, lest the chaos of the cosmos seep into every corner of existence. Yet amid this newfound awareness, subtle signs persisted. From time to time, in moments of solitude, Elias would detect a flicker, a fleeting pulse of consciousness that felt like the universe itself nudging him. Myra's dreams grew more vivid and lucid, sometimes revealing visions of worlds yet unseen, or cryptic symbols hinting at the deeper truths hidden beyond the veil. Jonah's instruments recorded anomalies, a gentle, rhythmic wobble in space-time, like the universe breathing. Lena found herself haunted by the echoes of ancient warnings, whispering that their act was a test, a catalyst that might awaken something far older and more powerful. It became clear that their journey was only a beginning. They sensed that the universe was alive, conscious, and watchful, responding quietly to their curiosity, gauging their respect, and perhaps assessing whether humanity was ready to handle greater truths. Their actions had set a precedent, a digital or spiritual ripple that might ripple outward, reverberating through dimensions unseen. In moments of quiet reflection, they pondered the essence of existence itself. Was the universe perhaps a living entity, an infinite consciousness that housed countless worlds, dimensions, and beings, forever pivoting in a grand, cosmic balance? Was every act of exploration, every breach of the boundary, a whisper of the universe's own restless desire to know itself? And what of their personal journeys? Each of them felt the weight of that night, like a sacred, terrible gift. The memory of crossing the fragile membrane was etched into their very souls, an indelible mark that defined them now. They understood that some boundaries, once crossed, could never truly be restored. The universe had stared back at them, an ancient, conscious force, and in that moment, they had glimpsed eternity. A universe whispering warnings, secrets, and mysteries beyond human grasp. And so, they moved forward, forever mindful of the thin, shimmering boundary that separated worlds. A boundary that was alive, aware, and perhaps forever watching. In the depths of their hearts, a quiet acknowledgement persisted. The universe was a living tapestry of infinite wonder and danger. To peek behind the veil was a privilege, and a risk. To respect its secrets was the path to true wisdom. And in that understanding, they found a haunting serenity, a profound realization that they were now part of something much larger. The universe, in all its infinite complexity, was watching. Waiting. Living. And they, like the other side they had touched, were forever changed. As months continued to pass, signs persisted that their daring venture had left an indelible mark on the fabric of reality, subtle, yet undeniable. Elias often woke from dreams of cosmic corridors, swirling with impossible colors and fractal geometries, feeling the echo of the other side vibrating in his very bones. He sensed that the universe's consciousness had not only observed their actions but perhaps registered their intent, their fears, and their curiosity. Mira found herself drawn to the edges of worlds seen only in her visions, mystical thresholds shimmering at the limit of perception. Her connection with the spirits deepened, but with a new caution, a reverence for the delicate balance that kept worlds apart. She felt an almost imperceptible tug, a gentle beckoning that suggested the universe was watching her still, testing her faith and humility. Jonah's scientific pursuits shifted into exploring the very consciousness of the universe as a living, responsive entity. His data hinted at a resonance, a feedback loop, that suggested their act of breach might have awakened or amplified the universe's awareness of itself. Every anomaly, every fluctuation, became a clue. The universe was not passive but sentient, a vast species of energy and thought beyond human comprehension. Lena's work took on a new dimension. Her ancient texts suddenly felt more alive than ever, filled with warnings and prophecies about humans tampering with the divine. She recorded every event with meticulous care, knowing that future generations might need her words as a caution, and possibly as a guide. Then, something extraordinary happened. Across the natural world, strange phenomena intensified. The skies shimmered with unnatural auroras, inexplicable echoes traveled across mountains and valleys, and animals reacted with heightened awareness, trembling and staring at the emptiness. People whispered of encounters with the uncanny, visions that flickered on the horizon, whispers carried by the wind, and sensations of being watched. Deep underground, Elias found that the earth itself seemed to pulse faintly, like a heartbeat beneath the crust. When he placed his hand on the ground, he felt an immediate response, an energy surging from the depths, as if the planet itself possessed consciousness aware of their deed and seeking to communicate. Myra's connection to the spiritual realm grew stronger, but so did her awareness of the immense power hidden beyond the veil. She understood that the universe's consciousness was not hostile but indifferent, like a vast, primeval thinker observing from the shadows, waiting patiently for balance to restore itself. Jonah's calculations reached new heights as he proposed that the universe might be a vast, living organism, an intelligent entity that consciously modulated its own boundaries. Perhaps, he theorized, crossing the delicate barrier awakened parts of this living cosmos, prompting it to react in ways that humans could barely comprehend. Such revelations made him realize that human exploration was not just a leap into the unknown. It was an active participation in the universe's own awakening. The warnings of the ancients echoed again and again. Lena recalled old legends, stories of civilizations that had sought forbidden knowledge, only to vanish into the abyss. She remembered the cryptic warnings inscribed on ancient relics, cautioning against hubris and the reckless pursuit of truths beyond mortal grasp. Now, faced with undeniable evidence, she understood that they had merely scratched the surface of a cosmic truth much older than humankind. The universe, ancient yet conscious, was sensitive to their curiosity, and perhaps to all curious beings that dared to reach too far. And yet, amid the inexorable march of this awakening, hope persisted. Mira, Elias, Jonah, and Lena grew more attuned to the subtle whispers guiding them. With newfound humility, they realized that perhaps their role was not to conquer or control the universe, but to listen and respect its wishes. They understood that every boundary had its purpose, every threshold its sacred meaning. As seasons changed, the world seemed to breathe in harmony with their understanding. The celestial phenomena subsided into gentle patterns, animals settled into calmer rhythms, and the land itself seemed to hold its breath, honoring the fragile balance. One quiet dawn, Elias made a vow, an oath to protect the delicate boundary, to serve as guardian and witness. Mira promised to continue listening, to act as a spiritual intermediary. Jonah pledged to study the universe's consciousness, seeking wisdom in its responses. Lena committed to recording everything, the warnings, the revelations, and the lessons learned. In their hearts grew an unbreakable conviction: the universe was alive, consciously aware, and capable of immense kindness or destructive wrath. Its secrets must be approached with reverence, lest the delicate order they had helped to restore be lost again. And so they stood at the edge of eternity, forever changed. The universe, vast and infinite, had opened a door, just a crack, revealing glimpses of its eternal soul. They had touched the boundary and felt its heartbeat. And in doing so, they learned that the greatest truths are not to be possessed, but to be respected. Time moved differently now, each moment imbued with a sacred weight. The world seemed to hold its breath, as if awaiting the next movement in an ancient, cosmic dance. Humanity's glimpse beyond the veil had awakened a profound realization: the universe was not a dead void but a living, conscious entity that thrived on curiosity, balance, and restraint. Elias, Mira, Jonah, and Lena became custodians of this newfound understanding. Their actions and attitudes shifted. They no longer sought to conquer or unravel the cosmos but to honor its hidden depths. They understood that the boundary was not merely a thin membrane between worlds but a vital living membrane, one that regulated the flow of chaos and order, life and silence. In their solitude, each felt the universe's subtle response, an invitation to continue observing, respecting, and learning. They sensed that the cosmos was capable of great kindness, yet also of indifferent justice. It was neither malicious nor nurturing but simply alive, conscious, and awe-inspiring in its vastness. They began to see their world, and the universe itself, as a single, interconnected tapestry. Every star, every ghost whisper in the night, every ripple in space-time was a thread in that grand design. Each new discovery reinforced their humility, an understanding that some mysteries were not meant to be fully unraveled but appreciated for their sacred complexity. They understood that crossing the boundary had permanently altered their perception, no longer mere explorers of the material world but humble students of a living cosmic consciousness. They tended to their responsibilities with reverence, knowing that in every act of curiosity lay the potential for harmony or chaos. And as they moved forward, the universe responded, its silence no longer emptiness but a gentle silence filled with meaning. The veil was still there, fragile and living, acting as a guardian of the cosmos's deepest secrets. The connection they had made had not been shattered but woven into the very fabric of their existence. Their journey was coming to a quiet end, but perhaps it was only a beginning. For in the infinite vastness, the universe's whisper persists. A reminder that the deepest truths are beyond reach, waiting patiently for those wise enough to listen, respectful enough to honor its mystery.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future ideas that challenge us to think outside the box. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, and don't forget to always maintain that curiosity that drives progress. Also, explore even more fascinating content on our channel. From life-changing tips and cutting-edge technology, to the mysteries of spirituality, travel to various countries, delicious recipes, health hacks, and language learning, there's something here to spark your curiosity and elevate your life. Dive in and discover a world of knowledge awaits us.